The opulent hum of the Emerald Spire Hotel's grand lobby froze. Every clink of crystal, every murmur of conversation died. His mother stepped forward, her voice a calm whisper that somehow thundered through the polished marble. "That's my son," she stated, and in that instant, the world shifted on its axis. "What just happened? Where are you tuning in from today? Seattle, Sydney, Tokyo? Drop your city in the comments below." Kian, at 26, moved through the Emerald Spire Hotel's exclusive dining hall with the practiced grace of a seasoned professional. Located in Seattle's vibrant heart, the hotel gleamed, a testament to modern luxury. Inside, the grand dining hall glowed, an ethereal space where gold chandeliers hung like fallen stars. The air, a sophisticated blend of gourmet aromas and quiet affluence, spoke of a world Kian served but rarely touched. He wore the hotel's crisp black uniform with dignity, though his feet ached from long shifts. To the staff, he was just Kian, the waiter who never complained, always took the extra shift. What no one knew was that Kian didn't need this job. He didn't need the modest paycheck or the aching feet. He was the son of Celeste Dubois, a titan of industry whose investment empire spanned continents. He had insisted on using his father's less-known surname, choosing anonymity to understand life without filters, to feel how people treated someone they perceived as just a server. He wanted to earn his own understanding of the world, grounded in purpose. His mother, Celeste, had reluctantly agreed on one condition. She would always be nearby, just in case, watching from the shadows. Kian didn't do this to prove a point. It was a revelation. He wanted to earn something, not money, but understanding. So tonight, like every other, he moved among the elite, his smile steady, his posture upright, his pride buried deep beneath his professionalism. Kian passed by table 14, where a silver-haired couple nodded approvingly at the amuse-bouche he had just delivered. "Exquisite," the woman said. Kian bowed slightly. Moments like these made the night bearable. Small acts of kindness, rare as they were, still never quite pierced the veil of distance. He was always the boy, never Kian. Back in the service station, he refilled glasses with practiced rhythm. His colleague Lena passed behind him with a wink. "Almost done?" she whispered. "Still got 2 hours," he replied, smiling. The banter helped. It reminded him he wasn't alone. Yet, even with friendly faces around, there was a solitude to the role, an invisible line drawn between the served and the serving. Kian knew it better than anyone. The clock ticked toward 8 p.m. New reservations were coming in, some names familiar. Local celebrities, hedge fund heirs. Kian checked the seating chart again, wiping a smudge from his apron. His next table was in the east corner, often reserved for VIPs. Then the room's energy shifted. The host at the entrance straightened. A murmur ran through the nearby staff. Kian turned and saw him, a tall man with slicked back blonde hair and a perfectly tailored suit, expensive watch glinting. Braden Thorne, a tech scion with a reputation for arrogance, strode in. He barely acknowledged the host, heading straight for the prime table, pulling out his phone before his chair even settled. Kian inhaled quietly, steadied his tray, and walked toward the table. This was just another guest. He told himself, another order, another moment to do my job with pride. But something in his gut twisted. Kian approached with his warmest voice. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Emerald Spire. May I get you started with something to drink?" His tone was even, professional. Braden didn't look up. "Sparkling water, no ice, and make it quick. I don't have all night." His words were flat, dismissive, as if Kian wasn't even there. He flicked his hand dismissively, his gaze never leaving his phone. Kian paused. Then he nodded, "Yes, sir," and turned to get the drink. But, Something about the moment, the chill in Braden's tone, the way he didn't bother to glance up, lodged itself in Kian's chest. It echoed the familiar reminder. Some people only see the uniform, not the man wearing it. Braden Thorne sat like a statue sculpted out of entitlement. His fingers tapped out silent commands to his digital kingdom. The soft glow of his phone illuminated his sharp cheekbones, his diamond necklace sparkling. He didn't look up, he didn't have to. In his mind, the world existed solely to accommodate him. He wasn't rude, he was dismissive. Kian approached with steady hands, balancing a silver tray with a single glass of sparkling water. He reached the table and gently placed the drink down, aligning it just to the right of Braden's untouched cutlery. "Here you are, sir," he said softly. But just as he was about to step back, Braden, eyes glued to his phone, reached out without looking, knocking the glass. Water splashed, cold and immediate, soaking Kian's front. His white shirt clung instantly to his skin. A collective gasp rose from nearby tables. The jazz band faltered. Braden blinked, finally looking up. His blue eyes narrowed, not with concern, but irritation. "Oh, for heaven's sake," he barked, his voice slicing clean through the buzz of the room. "Can't you do anything right?" The words landed like a slap. Heads turned. Kian froze, his hands wet, the heat of humiliation rising fast under his skin. Still, he kept his voice level. "I'm very sorry, sir. Let me get you another." Braden raised his hand as if to swat the apology away. "Do they hire just anyone here?" he said with a sneer. "Honestly, you're a walking disaster. I come to this hotel for excellence, not incompetence." His voice rang out, carefully projected. A few guests looked away awkwardly. Others didn't bother. One young woman discreetly tilted her phone, camera app open. Kian knelt slightly, dabbing at the spill with a napkin, his movements mechanical, his face composed. "I'll clean this up right away," he said, eyes down. "And I'll have a fresh glass brought over. No charge." Braden laughed, a sharp, delighted sound. "Oh, how generous of you, on the house, as if that makes up for your mess." "Sweetheart, boys like you don't belong in places like this. You're clearly out of your depth." The insult was razor sharp, slicing through Kian's restraint. He didn't flinch. He simply rose slowly, dignity radiating from every pore. His eyes met Braden's, calm, clear, and far more powerful than rage. "Yes, sir, I'll have that drink replaced right away," he repeated, and turned. But Braden wasn't done. He grabbed a glass of red wine from a nearby table. With a calculated flick of his wrist, he hurled it toward Kian's retreating back. The stemware clinked sharply as it hit the polished marble, wine exploding across Kian's shirt and trousers like blood on snow. A collective groan rose. Braden burst into high-pitched, delighted laughter. "Maybe that will teach you to pay attention," he called out, still seated, still smirking. Kian stopped. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from the sheer restraint it took to keep standing. His breath caught. For a brief moment, he stared straight ahead, his back to Braden. Then, he inhaled deep, steady, and continued walking, head held high. He did not rush. He did not crumble. He carried his soaked uniform like armor. Back at his station, Lena stared, eyes wide. "What the hell just happened?" she whispered. Kian said nothing. He just hung the soiled towel on the counter, shoulders square, and reached for a fresh cloth. He then returned to the table, not to serve Braden, but to calmly and meticulously clean up the shattered glass and wine, every movement precise, his eyes meeting Braden's with a gaze that held quiet defiance. Braden shifted uncomfortably. Out in the dining hall, Braden returned to his seat, lips pursed in satisfaction, chatting with a friend. Honestly, he said loud enough, some people just don't belong in places like this. But something had shifted. The laughter that once echoed easily now felt out of place. Diners watched, some in silence, some shaking their heads. Behind a frosted glass partition, Celeste Dubois had watched every agonizing moment. Kian had asked for space, for autonomy, but watching her son be publicly debased was a line she hadn't been prepared to see crossed. Quiet power hummed in her posture. She pressed a button on her phone and murmured a single word into the receiver. Now. The wine still dripped from Kian's uniform as he stood by the service station. His fingers curled into his palm, but his expression betrayed nothing. The sting wasn't from the cold wine, it was from Braden's laughter. It wasn't a clumsy accident, it was a statement. I can do this to you, and you can do nothing in return. But Kian wasn't nothing. What burned inside him wasn't shame. It was a steely resolve to stand tall while someone tried to strip away his dignity. He grabbed a fresh towel, pressed it against the red blotches, and told Lena, "Cover table 14. I'll be back in a few." He then turned away before anyone could see the faintest shimmer in his eyes. Moments later, Miss Albright, the hotel's general manager, appeared at Braden's table. "Mr. Thorne," she said with a tight smile, "Miss Dubois would like to have a word with you." Braden, mildly annoyed, followed, expecting deference or an apology. He was led into a private lounge where Celeste stood, tall and statuesque, an expression carved from stone. Braden's confident stride faltered. "Miss Dubois, I just wanted to say I know exactly what you did." Celeste interrupted, her tone soft but firm. "I watched it all, Mr. Thorne. From the moment you entered, to the purposeful act of throwing wine on a member of my staff." Braden's lips parted, but words caught in his throat. "You came into my hotel, insulted my staff, assaulted one of them, and then laughed about it." Her voice didn't rise. Her authority was in the stillness, in the weight of her gaze. "And that staff member, that boy you deemed beneath you, he's not just an employee, he's my son, Kian Dubois." The sentence dropped like a bombshell. Braden staggered back, his face draining of color. "Tu didn't know," he stammered. "He spilled water." "I saw it," Celeste said simply. "He didn't. You did. And when you embarrassed yourself, you blamed him. Then you threw wine at him. That's not a mistake, Mr. Thorne. That's character. And this wasn't a random act of arrogance, was it? Your father's firm, Thorne Industries, recently lost the Seattle waterfront development bid to Dubois Global. This wasn't about a water spill. This was a calculated, petty act of retaliation, a pathetic attempt to disgrace anything connected to me." Braden's cheeks flushed crimson, not from shame, but from the searing pain of his exposure. His facade crumbled, revealing the bitter resentment beneath. His game had played out in front of the wrong audience. His power here, he realized, was an illusion. In the dining hall, guests were checking their phones. Clips of the incident had already gone viral. Hashtags like Respect the Service and Emerald Spire Justice trended. Braden Thorne's name was now synonymous with unhinged entitlement. The court of public opinion was awake and furious. Braden stumbled backward, his voice cracking. "Miss Dubois, please, I didn't mean to." Celeste raised a hand, cutting him off. "Your bill is covered. Consider it a parting gift. But you, Mr. Thorne, are no longer welcome here. Effective immediately, you are barred from the Emerald Spire Hotel and all Dubois Global properties worldwide. And I assure you, news of your behavior and your motivation will reach every major firm, every social circle, every media outlet that values integrity over inherited privilege." She stared at him. Then he spun on his heel and rushed out, his friend scrambling to follow. As the doors closed behind them, soft, sincere applause broke out in the hall, not for drama, but for justice. And in the kitchen, Kian let out a single breath, long and slow, not of relief, not yet, but of readiness. Because the next part wasn't about revenge, it was about reclaiming something even more powerful, his voice, not through shouting, but through quiet, unwavering action. By sunrise, Emerald Spire's opulent halls had returned to stillness. The murmurs and echoes of the previous night faded, except online. A grainy but damning video of Kian Dubois' humiliation had gone viral within hours. It had racked up over 30 million views on X, TikTok, and YouTube combined. Inside the break room, his co-workers greeted him with reverence. Lena offered him fresh coffee. "You sure about being here today?" she asked. Kian nodded, tying his apron. "Why wouldn't I be? The uniform didn't change overnight. Neither did I." His words settled over the room like a pledge. He wasn't here to revel in attention. He was here to work. Yet the hotel was not the same. Guests greeted him with newfound warmth and respect. A middle-aged couple from Chicago stopped him to shake his hand. "We saw the video." The woman whispered, "You handled yourself with such grace. I hope our son grows up with your kind of strength." Kian smiled, thanked them, and moved on. He didn't linger in praise. He had tables to serve, glasses to fill. While the world might now see him as the billionaire's son, he refused to let that change him. In the lobby, luxury still whispered, but there was something new in the air. Awareness. Staff members stood a little taller. Guests watched a little more closely, not for scandal, but for meaning. The video hadn't just exposed Braden Thorne's cruelty. It had reminded people that behind every apron and tray was a human being worthy of respect. The hotel had received hundreds of emails praising Celeste and, most importantly, Kian, his restraint, his composure, his refusal to sink to the level of someone determined to break him. Upstairs, Celeste scrolled through headlines. Humiliated waiter reveals hotel owner is his billionaire mother. Power meets grace. How one man's dignity sparked a viral reckoning. A statement had been released. At Emerald Spire, dignity is not a luxury, it's a right. We stand by our staff always. She meant them, but what struck her most was seeing Kian on the hotel cameras, still working, still listening, still pouring coffee with that same thoughtful poise. He had faced public shaming, been defended by a mother he never asked to step in, and become the center of a media firestorm. Yet here he was, unchanged. Not a victim, not a spectacle, just a man doing his job with unwavering grace. By early afternoon, the backlash against Braden had hit full force. His Instagram went dark. Brand partnerships were severed. A former assistant posted a thread recounting years of verbal abuse, confirming his history. A major tech firm publicly denounced his behavior, pulling out of a joint venture with Thorne Industries. His image crumbled. Justice had gone digital and beyond. Yet Kian remained untouched by it. He didn't gloat. He didn't post a reaction or tweet a victory. He simply moved forward. When a guest tried to slip him a $100 tip with a wink and the words "for going viral," he politely declined. "I'm not a moment," he said. "I'm a person." That line was later praised as poetic, but to him, it was just the truth. He had no interest in becoming a symbol of revenge. What mattered was quiet power, the kind that didn't require an audience. Later that evening, after the dinner rush, Kian stepped onto the balcony behind the service wing. The sky was streaked with the colors of a fading Seattle sunset. He leaned on the railing, letting the cool breeze wash over him. He thought about how easy it would have been to quit, to retreat into the safety of his mother's name. But that would have meant surrendering everything he was building. He wasn't ready to do that, not now, not ever. Celeste joined him, quietly standing beside him. After a moment, she said, "You didn't have to come in today." Kian glanced at her. "Yes, I did." "Because if I didn't, then he would have won. His cruelty, his pettiness would have defined that moment, and I can't let that happen." Celeste nodded slowly, pride softening her brow. "The world's watching you now." Kian smiled faintly. "Let them, as long as they see me for who I am. Not just Celeste Dubois' son, but Kian. Someone who showed up, who kept his dignity, who understood the true cost of disrespect. And that was the truth. He wasn't here for pity, or fame, or even redemption. He was here for himself, for the version of him who refused to be broken, who chose resilience over revenge, who believed that dignity wasn't something you were born with. It was something you fought to keep. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the skyline, Kian Dubois stood tall in his uniform, wine stains long washed away, but his resolve etched deeper than ever. He didn't need to prove himself anymore. Not to Braden, not to strangers online, not even to his mother. The world could say what it wanted. He knew who he was. That was the most radical justice of all. Thank you for staying with us through this powerful story of dignity, justice, and quiet strength. What did you think about Kian's choice to keep showing up with grace, even when no one expected him to? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more true-to-life tales that reveal the power of character. Until next time, thank you for watching, and remember, respect speaks louder than status.